Hi friends, welcome to my channel. If you're reading about honeypots, I am reading about malware analysis, and if you want to know more about honeypots, then this will be useful. So here we are going to see about altering the objective slide. So what we are going to see in this chapter is, so this is the chapter from cookbook. So from cookbook, chapter number 2, honeypots deals with this collecting malware samples using Diania and Nepenthes. And we are going to see what is the real-time attack how to monitor the real-time attacks that is occurring in the honeypots. Two types of honeypots like Diania and Nepenthes, and what are how to analyze and what are the replaying attacks, how we can graph the Diania attack patterns, and so many. So these are the concepts you're going to see in this video. So introduction. So we all know about honeypots. We're very familiar with honeypots. Like honeypots, it gets what is meant by honeypots. If we want to know what are all the ways the attackers are attacking us, or what are the themes they are using to attack us, then we can use this honeypot. So honeypot, it's a way that we can attract the attackers by making some way to come into our system, to providing them a way to attack our system itself, so that we can analyze what are the methods they are using. So it's a type of attack we are keeping, so that they are coming in and falling on this trap. So this is the meaning of honeypot, and there are two types of categorized into two types of honeypots. One is high interaction and another is low interaction. What does high interaction honeypot means is that if we are making our system totally into attack, that is, if we are giving our system if we are giving our whole operating system into an attack, if you are using this, then it means high interaction. What is low interaction is only if we are allowing a limited or one limited amount of our operating system, or very small amount of paths such as network protocols, then it is called as the low interaction honeypot. To be very clear, if we are allowing only a minimum access, the attacker can access our system, that is low interaction. If we are allowing, we can attack the full system of my OS, then it means high interaction honeypot. This is a very simple term. So what does this honeypot means? What is the architecture? So this is the architecture. One example diagram. Here is the botnet. The botnet is the attacker. So that attacker comes and attacks our system. That this is our infected computer. So we are actually keeping a honeypot. So whenever the botnet comes and tries to attack the computer, he will be trapped into this honeypot, and we can store his information. Also, what type of malware he is using, what type of system he is handling. So these type of informations are stored in this server, and this SAM server is using this SAM server we can also communicate with many others. If we are having any clients, or if we are having any families like friends or companies, we are attached to it. So using this SAM server, we can send the messages to those persons. So now what we are going to see here is how we are setting up this total network. So how we can set up the SAM server, how this malware is collecting in this binary servers, and how they are setting up this honeypot. For setting up this honeypot, we are going to see how this Nepenthes and Diania is setting up. So these are the things we are going to see, and how much it is effective and how much it is useful. So these are we are going to see. Okay. So honeynets. Before going into the honeypots, we have to know what is honeynets. So what does honeynet mean is, we all know now what is honeypots. So honeypots is we are trapping that person. So we are tracking the person's attack. So what is honeynet is, if we are connecting the two or more honeypots in one single network, then that is called as the honeynet. If one person comes and gets trapped in one honeypot, then he will be connected to so he also can move into he can also deeply attack our system, our honeypots, and he will get that so using that honeynet will be connected to one honeypot will be connected to other honeypots, right? So there will be a connection if we are Even if we missed one honeypot, he will be caught on another honeypot. So in that way, honeynet is very much useful. But we are not going to honeypot is honeynet is an high interaction system. High interaction system. We saw two interaction systems: high interaction, low interaction. So honeynets comes under high interaction. So in this chapter of honeynets, in this chapter of honeypots, we are going to see only about the low interaction honeypots. So no need any type of high interaction. So we are not going to see about honeynets, but just a glance of honeynets. What does it mean? So we all know what does it mean. Connecting two or more types of honeypots is honeynets. So let's see what does Nepenthes honeypots mean and how they are configuring this Nepenthes honeypot. Nepenthes is one of the most well-known and widely deployed low-interaction honeypots. So it's a well-known and widely deployed low interaction honeypot. This was developed by Marcus Cotter and Paul Batcher in 2005. It consists of several modules for emulating Microsoft vulnerabilities by remotely exploited by systems scanning the internet. So in this section we will see how they are collecting the malwares and how they are monitoring and how they are submitting and how they are distributing it. Everything you can see. So basically to know what is Nepenthes means, it's a low interaction honeypot, and in 2005 they developed. It includes several modules. Okay, up to this we can know it's necessary to know about this. Next is how we are collecting the samples. So an attacker, for example, you are attacking my system. So if you are attacking my system, so where will I, because I am keeping the trap and you are coming and attacking my system. Okay, so I am keeping the trap as a honeypot. So if I am keeping the trap, then I will collect, for what purpose I am keeping the honeypot? To collect your malware samples, right? So I am collecting your malware samples. So for that, this Nepenthes is very useful. So and this Nepenthes can be operated in many operating systems like Windows via Cygwin, Mac OS, Linux and BSD. In many type of OS we can use this type of attack. However, the instructions can be used in, but it is very much helpful if we are using it. Ubuntu is more effective. So how we will install Nepenthes? The basic command sudo apt get install Nepenthes, the basic command, and many more commands to even for listening, for to begin the Nepenthes we can use the start command. To listen we can we can use the grep Nepenthes, the command. So to open sudo IP tables I input. So this command is used to open to get the open access to the ports required by the Nepenthes. So next we can see, so we are going to see the logs. What are the Nepenthes logs? If I am collecting your malware, then I have to store it in some other places. So where all I can store, and what are all the logs directory is. Variable log Nepenthes is just a logging directory, and logged downloads is all the download attempts. So what are the download attempts we have made stored in this log downloads, and all the successful download attempts have been stored in logged submissions. And binaries, we store all the binary datas which we collect. So everything has been stored in the binaries, and Nepenthes.log stores all the primary log file that contains the detection of duplicate attacks. So what are the attacks you have made as. So those type of attacks, messages associated with the Nepenthes health and status, everything, the primary log file, everything is stored in this Nepenthes log. To see what attacks your honeypot, so that my honeypot, so what are the attacks it has undergone, so those information has been shown in this file, log downloads. So these informations, the downloaded instructions are can be stored in the file format as timestamp, source IP, destination IP, and the download instructions. So anytime you want to investigate entries, then you can use the grep command for Nepenthes log file. For additional information you can use this. Now we have seen in what are the places the data collecting from the malware has been stored. So next we can see the real-time attack monitoring with IRC logging. So if I am creating a honeypot, if I am setting up a honeypot, not every next second there will be an attack. We can't say the next second the attack will happen, my total system will get demolished. No, we can't say like that. If I'm setting up a honeypot, it may take many time. No, it can take an hour, it can take an day, or it can take maybe more than 1 to 3 days. Okay, so we have to completely monitor real time. We have to monitor. So how can we monitor that the attack is going on? The attacker has the attacker has entered our honeypot. How can we know? So how can we monitor? So for that, monitoring is very useful. So how can we monitor? So for that, we are using an IRC logging. So what does this IRC logging do? And how can we set? First we have to set up it. Okay, so for setting it, we can use this. We can use. There is a file called as Nepenthes config. So in that config, you can go and edit. And next you have to set up this sensor to log to IRC. So if you plan to use a proxy or a Tor server, then you have to set it as use Tor to 1. So you have to configure accordingly. So see recipe 1 to more information how to set up Tor, but that's not necessary for us. If you are using a Tor setup, then you can go and see, refer cookbook recipe 1. And so this when you choose a nickname for your logging bot, so you have to be very careful. Okay, so if you are choosing a nickname, it should be very unique, and then only you can successfully connect to the IRC channel. So after changing the configuration file, you must restart the Nepenthes. Once you are restarting the Nepenthes, you can get into the, you will be logged into the IRC, and once you are logged into that, then you can monitor the actions, whether the honeypot attacker has been entered into the honeypot. So with IRC logged enabled, you can immediately see what activity is going on, whether the system was exploited or not, everything you can see. Next is accepting Nepenthes submissions over HTTP with Python. So what does this sentence mean? What does this topic mean is that if I am collecting a malware, so I will share that malware with my friend or with my client. So if I'm sending that, I can send that malware in an HTTP mode, in an web server. So I can also send it through a chat box, okay, or chat server, or I can even send it to HTTP using Python. So so for that, to do that, we need to create a CGI scripts in Python. So in where the binaries are collected. So there is an command tar minus -xpf www.honey.tz. So first we have to extract the archive. So what does this command is? To extract the archive to your desired locations. Like this, I am going to store it in this www.honey.tz. So I am going to store it here. So I have to achieve. Next is here is the description of the file. So what are the things that are present inside this archived file? So what are the things? First is a binary storage, in which this directory where received binaries are stored. Next is a bin library honey.py. So library functions shared by honeypot scripts are stored here. Dynamo.py, so this is an Diana scripts have been stored, and Nepenthes scripts have been stored in Nepenthes.py, TPY, and CGI server.py. So sample Python based CGI web server used to serve. So CGI servers scripts have been stored in this Python program. Next is to start the web. First we have to start the web server in the background. So for that we have to use this Python CGI server.py command. Okay, after you have set up the started the web server, you have to log in using username password. After you are setting up the username password, you have to search for files, okay, because we have collected many number of malwares, no? So we have to search for files. So if it's not there, if the file is not present, then you can request for from the Nepenthes. So then it will provide. So what are the ways they can extend this template is that add a database. If you are adding a database, then it will collect all the samples. So it will be very useful, easy for us to retrieve the data from the database. So we have to add a database. What all the and also import the Python module. So for what we have to import the Python module? For scanning the submissions, to detect the malicious attributes, to automate the execution of the sample. So in these ways, if we are importing the Python module, these will be very useful for us. It will be very effective. Okay. So next is, now up to this we saw about Nepenthes honeypots. Okay. We saw about Nepenthes honeypots. How are they setting up? How are they monitoring using IRC logging, and what are the files, directories, and where what each directories are storing, and everything we saw. It's same as that of the Dynea. So Dynea also have the same, but let's see what are the differences and many more things about Dynea. So what is working with Dynea? Dynea is also a low interaction honeypot as considered, and it is considered as a successor to Nepenthes. Nepenthes successor to Nepenthes is that after Nepenthes only this Dynea came. So this was also developed by the same developer who developed this Nepenthes. It's Marcus Cotter in 2009. 2005 they developed Nepenthes, and after that in 2009 the Marcus Cotter he developed this Dynea. So what all are the additional features he have used in this Dynea has been, we can see, okay, what he have done. So first is same way, you have to collect the malware. So how we are collecting in Dynea? So before knowing how to collect the malware sample from Dynea, we have to let's begin with installing and setting up Dynea. So what are all the features? Okay, what are the features is that it is written in C, but the interface is in Python. So it will be very useful for us to understand. Next is it support IPv6, IP version 6 and also IP version 4. So it uses library EMU for shellcode detection. It implements Python-based version for SMB protocol. And it also uses the real-time notifications using XAMPP protocol. It logs information on attacks to a so we always store the malware in a database, right? So for that they are using SQLite database. So for all the informations of the attacks can be stored here, and you can also generate the graph. So these are all the additional features, not all additional features, but the super features present in Dynea. So these are the features. So next is how we are going to install Dynea. We also saw how to install Nepenthes. So next, like same way we are going to install Dynea, but here there are lots of packages. So you have to download all the several packages and install it in your system. And after install, the recommended version of OS for Dynea is the Ubuntu or Debian Linux. Okay, so Ubuntu or Debian. However, you should be able to set it up on an Unix based. So once you have successfully installed Dynea, you should have all the files in of Dynea. So in this directory you have to you should have every files. Okay, so next is the basic settings found in the Dynea's main configuration file, which is this Dynea home. So in this Dynea home you will have all the first things first come. So you have to decide on the basic settings. What are the configurations you are going to do? Everything you have to set in this Dynea.config. So you have to configure all the informations. Next is the login section. So same way you have to log in, right? So the by default Dynea will log everything. You don't want to do anything after you have installed every packages. It's a default setting only. So it will have a large number of files. It's a gigabits per data. So it has a very big file. And as same way it stores the if you want to use it online, you can use sandboxes of Anubis. If you want to store, okay, the configuration is set up by default to submit binaries to the online sandboxes. So online sandboxes, if you want, you can submit. If you don't want to submit in the online sandboxes, it's okay. You can, but then you have to configure where you are going to submit this files. Okay, where you are going to store this files. So that you have to configure and you have to decide. Next is the IP section. I already said it supports both IP version 4 and IP version 6. Depending on how many IP address you have configured on your honeypot, this can take a bit of time to initialize. Once after initializing, it will restrict this IP should not come, this IP can come. So if you want to quickly have Dynea bind to all without iterating each one, you may want to change it to manual. So if you don't want any IP to set up, no, anything it can accept, no, then means we can configure it as mode equal to manual. So it will get all the IP address that is entering into the system. So next is the module section. In module section, what we are doing is module section consists of two subsections. Okay, one is the I handlers and next is the services. I handlers and services. So using this module section, we can enable, disable, or the configure any features. So in this way, this is very helpful, and Dioneer can you make use of this SQLite database, and it is enabled by default. So by default, so it uses the SQLite database. If you want, you can store it there, or you can delete it, no problem. So next is the how we can disable the any features if we don't want, no. Then how we can disable this SMB protocol and EMAP. So majority of malware is seen from the attacks against SMB or EMAP. So if you want to away from this type of attacks, then you can disable SMB and EPMAP. TFTP, access binary arbitrary file transfers, and also detects attempts to exploit vulnerabilities against TFTP service. HTTP or HTTP. If you don't want this type of attacks, then you can disable. FTP attacks, if you want to disable, you can disable. Permits all logins and captures files should someone choose to upload them. So so everything is a protocol. So we know HTTP and HTTPS is a web server protocol. FTP is a file transfer protocol. So what this file transfer helps is that detects the attempts to exploit the vulnerabilities. So we have to decide which thing we have to disable. Next is accepting Dioneer submissions over HTTP. So as I said in Nepenthes itself, so if you want to share it with our friend, or you have to you via HTTP, then this part will be very useful. So here we are submitting the samples in a sandbox system. So after submitting in the sandbox system, the contents will be present in the Dioneer.py, which handles the submissions of the Dioneer. Of course, you need to modify the URL to some extent to supply username and password if you are protecting the access to the URL with basic authentication. Once this is set up, you can point any number of Dioneer sensors to your server and collect the malware binaries in the central location. Real-time event notification and binary sharing with XAMPP server. So XAMPP server is very effective. So XAMPP means extensible messaging and presence protocol. So in real time, how are they notifying? Okay, how are they? We saw IRC logging in Nepenthes that monitors. So in Dioneer, XMPP does the same work. So we are sharing the binary files in XMPP module. So instead of just logging information to chat channels, Dioneer shares the binaries received with other clients on the channel. This gives the power of distributed malware collection if you have friends or relationships with companies who use Dioneer. So if you can chat with the people who are using Dioneer. So if you want to communicate or if you want to distribute that malware, then you can share it using XAMPP server. Next is how you are going to configure this Dioneer to use XAMPP. So how we are going to configure. So just as in one simple line, you can say first you have to need to enable log XAMPP. So if you are enabling log XAMPP in high handlers section of Dioneer.config, then the work is over. What they are using, what the person who developed this Dioneer used is, they are using a version of Prosody. So that Prosody is an instant messaging server. Okay, messaging server, so you can message. The default configuration is set to use the developer's Prosody server is the share binaries anomalies with other clients. So only to share the content they are using this. This means that identifying the host information is removed when data is sent to the chat rooms. The host information is like from who was the attacker. If you are attacking mine, if I am sending that information to my friend, if he won't know your information, only I can see your information, but that third party will not know your information. So so it's very safe, right? So it's very safe, and it's very safe to use this XAMPP. Next is logging attack data from an XAMPP channel. So what are the logging attack? Okay, that's happening. So to log attack from an XAMPP channel, you have to use this following command, and it logs into the specified XAMPP server and passes all the XML messages sent to the chat rooms. This XML data contains, so everything will be stored in an XML data. So that contains attack information and malicious binaries. If you supply database credentials, all attack activity from various sensors can be logged into the central database. So everything will be logged into a saved into an central database. Next is analyzing and replaying attacks logged by Dioneer. So in very simple words, how can we analyze and replaying attack is using bystream. So bystreams is also called as a bidirectional stream. So bidirectional stream, they what they do is they if you see if I am attacking your system, no, uh, many type of if I want to retransfer the data previous, wait, I'll read. Bystreams provide you with an easy way to retransmit data previously sent to your honeypot in a manner similar to the TCP replay tool. So what does this do is, it's an easy way to retransmit data previously sent to your honeypot in a manner similar. So it's retransmitting the data. If you want to replay attack, means what again the attack is happening. So again it will do the same job. It's not only for the particular attack. It's for the replaying attack. So replaying attack for the target server. And we can also troubleshoot the purposes. If you take it in a step further, you can modify the bystream and other input leads to unexploitable conditions, and perhaps create a metasploit module out of see replay attacks. Okay, many type of attacks are coming. So every attack that is happening, we can store it in an XML data. And so what I'm trying to say is that if an attack is happening, it is stored in an database server. So it's not this after storing it will not get disabled, or it will not get disabled. Okay, this will go for all the replaying attacks. So how many attacks you give, this will continue to do its job. The same, it will store all the binary data in the database. So this is the thing of analyzing and replaying attacks. So what is POF? POF is a tool, passive identification of a remote system with POF. So POF tool, what does it analyzes the malware. Okay, not only essential to analyze the malware, but it also identifies the architecture, your architecture. If you are the attacker, your architecture, your version of the system, your service pack. So everything we can find and the link type of so using this POF tool we can passive operating system identification tool. So we can identify who is operating a system. So to install, we can install it. We can enable the POF in dania.config, and using this we can also read the data collected by POF using a Unix domain socket. Next is graphing Dania attack patterns with SQLite and GNUplot. So if we want to see visually, or you have to analyze the data, plotting, graphing, this graph method is very helpful. So if you want to graph, okay, so when did this team developed this? Is in December 2009, Dania development team was two fairly large databases. So if you enable log SQL, so that activity from Dania stored in this database. So if you are interested in plotting, you can also plot. So for that, using GNUplot, you can plot. So the database will be from SQLite. So there are already two databases named Berlin and Paris, which contains tons of attack data. So here we are going to see about the Berlin database, how we can collect the Berlin database attacks and how they are doing. We can also use Paris database in the same manner. Okay, so first how we are collecting this, so first before downloading the database, let's see what does that database contain. So it contains 1 month of data, okay, from November 5 to December 7, 2009 data. The data is actually the attacks malware that has been happened. Okay, it contains 6 lakh recorded attacks for 1 month. There are almost 6 lakhs recorded attacks that result in 2,700 binary downloads. Does not contain attacks by IP configure nodes. Okay, does not contain any attacks of IP. This includes POF logging also. So now how can we plot this graph using this Berlin database? So first you have to download this Berlin database. You can also create your own using this like this Paris. You can use the Paris database, or you can create your own database. So first you have to download. Next is we have to create a SQL query, because that retrieves the type of information you are interested in. So you have to create a SQL query for that, because what type of information you are going to get from the SQL database is very, very necessary, right? So that we are using to retrieving that, you have to give an SQL command. So after giving that SQL command, you are executing that command to your target database and save the output in a text file. So after saving the text file, we can exit from the SQLite using by pressing Control D. After executing, after exiting, we can using that saved text file. We can implement this, and after implementing, they are getting this type of command. What does this graph means now? In right, we can see that there is a column attacks happened, and this is the binary file we have stored. The binary file we have stored. So what here is a dotted line, and here is one strong line. So this dotted line represents the attack, and this binary line and this strong line, not this, without the undotted line, non-dotted line, something. So this strong steady line, this represents the binaries. So what we said, if an attack is happening, the binary files of that will get collected. So this is very parallel. If an attack is happening, so along with the binaries also, in the same manner it is also coming. In the same manner it will come. So it is very clear that an attack has happened, and the binary files have also been stored here. So this is the meaning of this graph, and I have, so the graph explanation I have given here. The graph shows the number of attacks, dotted line. So x-axis right, y-axis on the right and y-axis on the left, we see the binary files as a solid line. Okay, as you can see, the number of downloaded library rises and falls. The number of attack also does the same. So this is just an example. So using this, so we saw how the Nepenthes have been, how they are setting up the Nepenthes, what are the attacks, how they are monitoring. In the same way, we also saw in Diania how they are setting up, and using XAMPP server, how they are communicating, and how they are plotting. So everything we saw, and thank you so much for listening. If you found this video useful, then please give an thumbs up symbol, like to my video, and please consider subscribing this channel.